Imagine. We'll welcome in our panel now. Michael Harrigan is joining us, a retired FBI special agent and chief of the VICAP program, as well as chief of the FBI National Academy program. Peter Lumaj is here, an immigration attorney, political commentator. Thank you both for being on. I do appreciate that. Peter, I'd like to start with you before we get into the details of the alleged gunman, and we have them. I just wanted to get your thoughts on President Trump, not really wasting any time reaching out to the families of both deceased Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, who's still fighting for his life. Obviously an unbelievably challenging time for the families, to say the very least, and this happening during the holidays. Talk to us about that moment.
The hardest thing for President Trump to do is to call the family and notify them that their child has been, shot in Washington, D.C. while serving this nation and pronounced dead a few days later. I think it's a great challenge for the president to do that. But President Trump is the only one since, I would say, in the modern history of the United States, who understands the dangers of immigration in the United States. Arnold Toynbee years ago warned us that great civilizations are not murdered, they are committing suicide. We are committing suicide as United States by allowing certain people to come to the United States who are not compatible with our values. They are coming here with the intent of harming us, the citizens of this country. And some of them claim that they have the right to be here. Immigration is not a right, it's a privilege. The president has the power to revoke anyone's status in the United States under certain circumstances. And I think we should have a moratorium here for at least 20 to 25 years and realize what's going to happen of the ones immigrants that we allow to come to the United States, if they are going to assimilate, if they are willing to embrace our values, if they are willing to love and serve this country. Yeah. When people come to the United States, they come here to become Americans, not to impose their values upon us. This was not a tragedy. This guy knew what he was doing. He traveled from Washington State, came to Washington, D.C., made sure that his target was the one that he wanted to be, and committed this horrible act in the nation's capital. And I agree with the president of the United States that Donald Trump is going to have to pose illegal immigration and legal immigration for the time being, so we have a chance to review these applications properly.
All right, Michael, let me bring you into this conversation. Let's talk about the alleged gunman, if we can, because we are getting a much clearer picture of the alleged shooter, Rahmanullah Lakhanwala, thanks to a series of emails obtained by the Associated Press from a community advocate. So let's read part of this AP article. It starts with this. The emails described a man who was struggling to assimilate, unable to hold a steady job or commit to his English courses while he alternated between periods of dark isolation and reckless travel. Sometimes he spent weeks in his darkened room, not speaking to anyone, not even his wife or older kids. At one point in 2023, the family faced eviction after months of not paying rent. The community member in an interview spoke of becoming worried that Lakhanwala was so depressed that he would end up harming himself. But the community member did not see indication that Lakhanwala would commit violence against another person. Ultimately, that's what happened. The red flags were right there. Michael, talk to us about this and your experience with looking into these habits that are happening before something like this tragic event happens.
Absolutely. If we look at the active shooter issue around the country, there generally is always some indicators. Persons are descending into mental struggles. They're having there's stressors in their lives. There's all kind of dynamics behind the scenes that drive them or are triggers for them to act out. In this instance, you see a lot of look at the immigration system and the vetting, which absolutely has to be done. But these indicators from this social mental counselor out there on the West Coast shows that he degraded. And this is something that, even though Secretary Noem pointed to radicalization after he arrived, we can't discount the fact that this may have been a deeply disturbed person who was facing all type of issues after coming to the United States and just mentally degraded and acted out on these and drove to D.C. to cause this violence.
Yeah, and officials here in the United States say that this man was radicalized here in the States and not actually in Afghanistan when he was assisting the CIA. This was before 2021 and the botched withdrawal in Afghanistan. I wanted to bring you this. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, she was appearing on Meet the Press on NBC News, and she provided these remarks on the alleged shooter. Watch.
We believe he was radicalized since he's been here in this country. We do believe it was through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him, who were his family members, to talk to them. So far, we've had some participation, but anyone who has information on this needs to know that we will be coming after you. We will never allow this to continue to happen in our country. Allow individuals who came to our country that were unvetted by Joe Biden, allowed to run free.
Peter, does she have a point in terms of the Biden administration bearing the responsibility of the vetting process following that botched Afghanistan withdrawal?
Absolutely. I mean, the standards for immigrating to the United States were lowered by President Obama, and they were completely removed under President Biden. When you came to the United States under his administration, you were given a notice to appear in front of a judge, not even an order to appear in front of a judge. And most of these people who came here illegally, they ignored that notice to appear, and they wouldn't, we don't even know who these people are. I mean, years ago, if you wanted to come to the United States legally, you had to submit to background investigation. You had to be interviewed by an employee from the U.S. Embassy. You needed a sponsor. You came to the United States properly, and we knew who these people were, including my family and I, who came here legally after being, going through the steps that were necessary to come here. Nowadays, especially under Biden, the entire immigration system just collapsed. I mean, you had NGOs at 26 Federal Plaza in New York pretty much coaching people and walking them through the process as to what to say to qualify for asylum. We have been enticing illegals to come to the United States for the benefits that we offer to them. If you live in Connecticut, for example, you get benefits. You get in-state tuition. You get a driver's license. We have sanctuary cities. We have been rewarded illegals to come to the United States, and we cannot entice these people to come to the United States any longer. They have to go through the processes just like everyone else did prior to them.
Yeah, Michael, I think one of the troublesome parts of this story, and there are many, but one of the troublesome parts of this story is that he was radicalized in the United States. He lived in Afghanistan, not radicalized there, comes to our country, radicalized here. Talk to us about that and the culture that ultimately allows it.
Absolutely. I think when you look at social media and the ability to network with like-minded individuals or to be influenced online, individuals come here. I mean, you look at foreign nationals generally seek out other foreign nationals from that community to build relationships and networks when they arrive here. So within some of these networks, there will be radicals. They do exist in some of these networks. So when you combine a mental health issue that this individual seems to have had with the potential access to like-minded individuals or to other individuals that could influence him, that's the root of the radicalization when someone arrives here. And we see that both with U.S. citizens that become radicalized. We've had a number of those cases where individuals are radicalized here, seem to have no connection to other countries or ideology, and then over time, through contacts through social media, become radicalized. So that's not an unusual circumstance. And this is where the investigation is so important to delineate between someone who may have slipped through the cracks on the vetting versus somebody who developed those thoughts and those extreme ideas after they arrived when they were on the ground here.
Yeah, it may not be surprising, but it is unacceptable to say the very least. And all the red flags were there for several years. It's heartbreaking to say the very least. Michael Harrigan, Peter Lumaj joining us today on this Monday. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
President Trump's tariffs top of mind this Cyber Monday. Are you shopping at home while you're watching the broadcast? Why not? How they're impacting this year's shopping trends. Opening bell panel coming up after the break.